Criterion just made what I think is their biggest slate of announcements ever. 7 titles coming in April this year, and there's a lot to be excited for here. Some very good films, some new ones, some old ones. So I'm going to get into all of that in this video. 6 of the 7 titles announced are 4K UHD releases, which makes sense. It seems like they're very popular for Criterion. The first one that I want to talk about is Some Like It Hot, the classic from Billy Wilder, starring Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, and of course Marilyn Monroe. The film's an absolute masterpiece. Billy Wilder, one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and this central trio in the film, just dazzling to watch. It's one of my favourite films of all time, and it is already in the Criterion Collection. It has a Blu-ray, which looks very close to what the 4K edition is going to look like. This currently available Criterion Blu-ray was using the new 4K digital restoration. So in terms of the difference between this and the new 4K disc coming out, of course, you've got the increased resolution from the disc, but there is also Dolby Vision HDR coming on the 4K disc. However, no new special features and obviously the same artwork. Just a couple of years ago, this did get a 4K release from Kino Lorber, and that was a bit of a surprise at the time because everyone thought that Criterion would have retained the rights for the 4K disc. However, that Kino disc is now out of print, and here we have the Criterion. Both discs should probably look pretty similar, so it'll be interesting to see when the Criterion comes out, but I'm extremely excited to revisit the film once again. Another 4K upgrade coming from Criterion is Ugetsu from Kenji Mizoguchi. This is one of the masterpieces of Japanese cinema, often hailed as probably one of the top 3 Japanese films of all time, up there with Tokyo Story and Seven Samurai. Mizoguchi's films are just so touching, so powerful. His craft is impeccable. The way shots are framed and the movement within the frame is just exceptional. The films look beautiful, and Ugetsu, this older Blu-ray, was from a 4K digital restoration. So again, it seems like the same source is going to be used on this new 4K disc. Now on Criterion's website, there appears to be no mention of HDR. And this is something that we've come to see recently with some of the Akira Kurosawa 4K upgrades from Criterion. I don't know whether it's specifically to do with some of these Japanese films and the licenses, or whether they're just deciding not to do HDR grades on some of these older films. I heard someone say that it's perhaps they don't like to use HDR when the filmmaker is not alive, but then again, HDR is on Some Like It Hot and Billy Wilder is definitely not alive. So I'm not always sure on what the rationale is behind applying HDR in some cases and not in others, but I guess it's a case-by-case basis. But in this one, we do not have HDR coming on the 4K upgrade. However, I want to stress that the film is exceptional, so whether you get the new 4K disc or you watch it on the older Blu-ray, you should be amazed because I think it's incredible. We're getting yet another 4K upgrade in the form of Chungking Express from filmmaker Wong Kar-wai. This is a very important film to the Criterion Collection. This was actually the first film that ever got a Blu-ray release from Criterion, and I think it was one of their first Blu-rays to go out of print, and for a long time that Chungking Express Blu-ray was going for a lot of money on eBay. That was until this came out a few years ago, the World of Wong Kar-wai box set. This brought a number of the filmmaker's films back to the Blu-ray format, some of them which hadn't been released before, and many of these were from new 4K restorations. Which sounds great, but it wasn't quite so simple because there were some controversial things about the restorations used in this set. Namely, the filmmakers, the director and the DOP have made changes to these films, frankly. They've changed the aspect ratio on some of these films. They've certainly changed the colour grading to a lot of these films, the worst offender being In the Mood for Love, which previously had a very warm appearance to it, and now it has a very green, cold look to it, which I think completely alters the feel of the film. Likewise with Chungking Express, they've made changes to the colours there and the contrast in the image, so the film looks different to how I saw it originally. Now, of course, it's the filmmakers themselves making these changes, so not a lot can be done to argue this. But it is a shame for me personally that the films currently look how they do in 4K quality, because the detail in some of these 4K restorations is really quite beautiful. I know I'm not alone in feeling those things about these films, but then a great many people seem to really enjoy these films, and having them in circulation again was a great thing, just so people could see them more readily. Anyway, Chungking Express, the new 4K disc, will be using the same restoration featured on the Blu-ray disc that is in here, and there is no HDR on the disc. So this will be great news for a lot of people. However, I just feel a bit stung still by the fact that Chungking Express, a film that I love, which was very important for me getting into films and world cinema, just does not feel how it used to feel for me when I watched it on the much older discs. Anyway, moving on, we have a very exciting French film release. In fact, this is two films from Claude Berry. This is Jean de Florette and Manon of the Spring. If you haven't seen these films before, they are beautiful. And this is epic storytelling about this family across generations. And you could compare it in some way to the scope of the Godfather movies, although this isn't quite the same subject matter. But when these films were made, they were the most expensive French film productions ever, and that's something Criterion have actually put in their blurb on the website, and you see a lot of that money up on screen. The films just look stunning. So both films are available in a set on 4K and then also Blu-ray, and there's no HDR on the new 4K digital restorations of these films. So again, not sure why that's the case, but perhaps these restorations were done without HDR in mind. There only seems to be two special features in this box set, one documentary on the life of the filmmaker and another on the making of these films. So seems kind of light on special features there for a two film box set like this, but maybe these documentaries are quite long. I've not actually seen those docs, so I'll definitely be getting this release when it comes out. I think these films are exceptional, and I can't wait for more people to enjoy these. And then we come to a release that is going to have a lot of people excited. It's a very new film. The film is Anora, written and directed by Sean Baker. This is a film which won the Palme d'Or at Cannes Film Festival, and it is in the running for a lot of awards going into award season and the Oscars. So this is a hot film. People are very excited about this film. I missed it at the cinema. It was showing in the UK for a week or so, and I just couldn't make it to my local cinema to watch it. So this Criterion 4K disc will be the first time I watch the film. I've heard exceptional things, and I love all the other films I've seen from Sean Baker. Really enjoyed Red Rocket, Florida Project, absolutely loved, Tangerine, and I think those are the only films I've seen from him. So this is very exciting. I can't wait. And it seems like the disc is going to be stacked with extras, which makes sense because I know Sean Baker is a fellow physical media collector and he loves discovering film through physical media. So the film is presented in 4K with HDR. There are two audio commentaries. There is a making of documentary. There's an interview with Mike Madsen and Sean Baker. There's a Q&A with Madsen and actor stripper Lindsay Normington. And then there are deleted scenes and trailers. So there's a lot in this release. So it seems like it's going to be very good. And I can't wait to finally see the film, because I'm kicking myself that I haven't seen it sooner. Sticking with Sean Baker, we have another of his films, Prince of Broadway from 2008, coming to Blu-ray. I have not seen this film. This is one of the ones that I haven't seen from the filmmaker. So again, like Anora, I can't wait for this. I'll probably do a double bill because the discs come out on the very same day. I really don't know much about the film except it's about some people making fake goods and trying to sell them. And the cover of the Criterion actually has a fake DVD version of the Criterion disc on the cover. So that is pretty cool. And again, given that it's Sean Baker, the disc is quite stacked. You've got two audio commentaries, an introduction from Sean Baker, two documentaries on the making of the film actually, not just one. And there is a restoration demonstration between the director and the restoration supervisor. So it seems like another great release. I can't wait to watch it the same day that I watch Anora. And then coming to 4K and Blu-ray, a film from 1996, it's Basquiat. This is about the very famous artist who died very young. The film starred Jeffrey Wright in his first film performance, playing the artist. And from what I know about the film, this is very important to a lot of people. It's one I've never seen, so this again will be my first time watching this film. And if you have any opinions about this film, if you think this is one that I absolutely must see as soon as possible, then let me know in a comment on this video. Something that has intrigued me is the film says this is a 4K digital restoration of the 2024 black and white version, supervised and approved by director Julian Schnabel. So that to me sounds like you don't get the colour version of the film on this release, because it just again mentions with the 4K disc and the Dolby Vision HDR, it is just a black and white version of the film. Oh, but actually reading down further, so you get an audio commentary, and then it says new 4K digital restoration of the 1996 theatrical version. So I'm guessing that's the original colour version. Sounds like that will only be on the Blu-ray, that won't be on the 4K disc. I don't think they'll cram two versions of a film on one 4K disc. So to me this reads like that will only be on the included Blu-ray. And then there are some interviews there with the cast and the crew, including David Bowie. I didn't even know he was in the film. So this will be another case where Criterion is helping me fill in a gap in my film knowledge. And I'm very excited to watch this one when it comes out. What do you think about these 7 titles? Do any of these particularly get you excited, or is there just nothing for you here, even though we have one of the largest slates in as far as I can remember? Do let me know in a comment below, because I love reading your comments every time there is one of these new Criterion announcement slates. Click the video that's presented on screen right now if you want to stick around for some Criterion reviews and recommendations, etc. Until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.